Hey, how's it going, guys? In this video, I want to show you how to create and delete an event in Outlook calendar using Microsoft Graph API in Python. Alright, so here let me open my VS Code. And I want to dive into the documentation first. Alright, so if you want to create and delete an event in Outlook using Microsoft Graph API, we'll be using the calendar resource. And I'll link the documentation in the description below. Alright, so from the event resource, we'll have several events. Actually, not events, we'll have several methods. Some of the methods, such as list events, to shows all the events that are currently in your calendar. Create events, get events, update, delete, and a couple other things. And I want to scroll to the properties section. So when I'm creating an event, we can provide many things, such as the event title, the start and end date, and a couple other things. We can even attach attachments or assign category to the event. Alright, so this is going to be the documentation aspect. Now I want to dive into the script. And before diving into the tutorial, make sure that you download the source code to this msgraph.py file. From the import statement, I'm going to import the requests library first. And from msgraph, I'm going to import the generate access token function and the graph API endpoint variable. And to print the response, I'm actually going to use rich's library. So I'm going to type from rich import console. I want to go ahead and create a console object. So from console.console class, I'll name the object console. And grab my app ID first. I want to go back to the documentation. Alright, so if I want to create an event, I want to here let me go into the documentation. Want to make a post request code to issue at this endpoint. And this will be create event. Let me take a look. The endpoint looks incorrect to me. Oh, some under teamwork. So that's fine. Now if we go to calendar, event, create event. Now if we scroll down to permissions, for the permission set, we need to use calendars.read-write permission. So let me copy the scope or permission set, and I'll create a list called scopes. And I'm going to insert the permission set. And for the endpoint, we can use any of these endpoints. And for now, I'm going to use the simplest one, which is going to be this me/events endpoint. Alright, so let me put the endpoint here in my script, and I'll come back to this later. Alright, so for now, I want to make a note, and this is going to be step 1, generate access token. And to request the access token, I want to insert the generate access token function. Then I'm going to provide the app ID and the scopes. And I'll name the output as access token. Then I can construct my headers object. And here we need to set the authorization with the bear value. And it's going to be bear space followed by the access token. And for step 2, this will be create an event. Alright, so I'm going to create a function, and I'll name the function construct event detail. And we're going to have a required parameter called event name. Now, if we go back to the documentation, and if I go back to let's see, Alright, so if we go to the request body section, the request body takes an event object, and which is going to be on the event resource type, and which is going to be the properties field. So these are all the information we can attach to our event object. So they're actually quite many. As for the parameter, I'm actually going to include a keyword parameter, and I'll name the parameter event details. Alright, so by default, a user can simply provide an event name and to create an event on the calendar. And it's going to be subject. And the subject is going to take the value from the event name argument. In case if we are providing additional field, then I need to iterate the event details argument. So essentially, this is going to return as a dictionary. So I'm going to say for key and value in event details dot items, and we're going to append those keys to the request body object, and this will be value. Then I'm going to return the request body object. Now to make a post request to create an event, we can use the requests library dot post. For the endpoint, it's going to be graph API endpoint plus the this meet event query. I'm going to make this as f string. And I'll name the output as response 1 underscore create. Alright, so here we need to provide our headers. And for the request body, we're going to assign the JSON representation or the JSON body to the JSON parameter. And here I'm simply going to insert the construct event detail function. And for the name, let's do movie night. Then I'm going to print the response. Alright, so here let me run the script manually. So I'm going to select the code and run the code by itself. Alright, so let me go ahead and authenticate my account. Alright, so once I execute the script, now going back to my calendar, and here's the event that I just created at 11 PM movie night. And since I didn't provide any detail related to the event, so it's going to set the default duration to ½ hour, and the event dates is going to be based on the current time and current date. Now if I want to provide additional information, so example 2 is going to be a little bit more complex, but it's not going to be too much. Now let's name this example 2. And this will be, so let's do step 2.1 and step 2.2. Example, detailed. Alright, so again, I'm going to grab this code block and I'll make a copy. And I'll name the response to response 2. Right, so let's say I want to create another event to track my holiday schedule. And let's name this as event name, holiday, let's do work holiday. And I want to provide a detailed description to the event. So going back to my calendar, if I open the event that I just created, I want to provide some message or information to this body field. So I'll name my variable body, and it's going to be a dictionary. Here I need to specify the content type, and it's going to be HTML or just regular text. And to insert the content, we need to provide the message to the content property. And for this, I'm going to say 2 weeks vacation. And that's it. Alright, so today is April 20th. Now let's say my day off starts from April 25th to May 2nd. I'm going to create two variables, start and end. In both objects, use the same fields. Inside the start object, I need to specify the date time. And it's going to be 2022, April 25th. And we need to insert T to separate date and time. Then I'm going to insert the time value, and it's going to be based on military time. And let's do AM. So this will be 08. Now, when we are specifying the day range, we need to provide the time zone to our start and end values. I'll set this as Pacific time, so I'm going to use America, Los Angeles. Now I'll copy the dictionary into the end value. And this, I'm going to change the dates to May 2nd. And I'll set the end time to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And as for the location, let's do Tokyo, Japan. Now if I want to invite other attendees, and this can be a family trip, I'm going to create a list called attendees. And to specify each attendee, we're going to insert per dictionary object to reference a different person. So inside the dictionary, we need to specify the person's email address. And let's say I want to invite myself. Oh, and this will be another dictionary bracket. And I can also set whether if the attendee is required or optional using the type field. And let's say I want to make this person a required attendee. So for the type, I'm going to type required or optional. Now if I want to invite another person, then I can simply copy this code block and make a copy and just change the email address, and I'll add another attendee to the list. And for now, I'm only going to invite myself. Right, so that's all the information I want to include in my event. Now going back to the post request. So this time I'm going to type the parameters individually. Right, so if I go ahead and run this code block, response to is not created. Let me take a look. Okay, so I see my mistake. So going back to the attendees, in here I need to specify the field name under the email address field. And it's going to be address followed by the value. Right, so let me go ahead and recreate the event. Now here the location is incorrect. So this will be display name and followed by the location name. Right, so let me try again. I'm going to run the code block by itself. Alright, so this time I'm getting the proper response back. Alright, so these are all the information attached to the event that I just created. Now if I go back to my calendar, so on April 19th, I have this movie night event. And from April 25th to May 2nd, I have my work holiday event that is scheduled. And if I go into the event detail, in the description field, I have 2 weeks vacation. Location is set to Tokyo, Japan. And the event is going to be from April 25th, 8 AM, all the way to May 2nd, 5 PM. And here, I invite myself as one of the required attendees. Now, if I want to delete the event, now let's go back to example 1. Right, so as for the second event, so we have actually 2 different methods. One is to delete an event from your calendar, and the other one is going to be cancel event. So if you have multiple attendees, then the event will still exist on their calendar. And if you want to re-cancel event, here let me grab the delete post code block. And let's name this as event ID 2. Right, so if you want to cancel event instead of deleting event, want to insert cancel at the end to the query. Now if I run this code block, and it's going to return 405. Let me take a look. Oh, I know why. So this should be event ID 2, not 1. Alright, so let me try again. And I'm still getting the 405 error. And based on the error description, I should be using post, not delete. Right, so let's try again. I'm going to run this code block. And this time, because the response is not going to return anything, but this time I'm getting the status code 202, and from the reason I returns accept. Now going back to my calendar, and I can see that the event is completely deleted and cancelled. Alright, so this is going to be everything I'm going to share in this video, and hopefully you guys found this video useful. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.